Hey, so the 38th gene key is really deep. It's one that really reminds us of what we deeply truly are and in our embodiment of our spirit of consciousness. Each one of us. Each one of us here. It's a marvelous key that also shows us the power of our embodiment, of our incarnation, of what we can create here when we raise our frequencies to the levels of our deepest, highest, and most cherished desires and dreams in our hearts. So, as you may know, all of the gene keys have a spectrum of consciousness that describes what it calls the shadow level, which is the low frequencies. And those are basically the frequencies of fear and separation that we create through identification and forgetting what we truly are. In other words, we are spiritual beings having a human experience and then forgetting our spiritual nature, our nature as free, incommensurable spirit in this limited human body with its senses, its five senses, and this perception of being separate from the other because of mortality, because of all of the other contingencies that we do not understand within a larger framework of more subtle levels of reality, which we yet feel in our hearts, knowing that our experience isn't limited to our five senses, right? But when we reduce ourselves to that, and our focus and our attention is imprisoned in that narrow bandwidth, then the lower frequencies of fear and separation will rule, basically, and that's what we're seeing a lot today in terms of rulers, whether they're apparent or hiding behind a curtain, basically being driven by the low frequencies of division and conflict and doing everything possible to create polarity and identification in those that they rule over, the ones that are, basically concentrating wealth and that are eternally seemingly struggling and creating struggles in order to remain in power over other, right? This is not the true nature of reality, and so that paradigm of separation and of fear is bound to fail, is bound to fall like a decaying, decadent empire. And what rises after such a fall, and what is already rising, is the beauty of plurality and of diversity, which isn't caught and imprisoned in an endless struggle against the different parts of itself, of the whole, but in fact has this beautiful perseverance of energy and action and behavior to work towards the greater whole, which in this case is called honor. And so this key reminds us that each one of us is this actor, this player, this creator, this warrior holding the sword of light, the light of love, of wisdom, to create beauty and truth and goodness in the world. Now, if we're stuck in the lower frequencies, we don't feel that. We don't resonate with that because we are imprisoned within the narrow and rigid confines of a worldview that is fragmented and chaotic and basically entropic, right? So that energy is always being lost, and so that there's this fear and this drive to always try to accumulate and to keep and to conserve and to, basically hoard, right? And that's completely oblivious of the true nature and the true wealth of endless energy, which is even, in the vacuum, as the physicists know, and what they call the 0 point field, which is the extreme wealth of manifestation of reality itself, of the cosmos, which we are an expression of. So the shadow level of struggle is, this kind of vicious circle. It's stuck within these very narrow, rigid, and entropic parameters, where at a certain point it's going to exhaust itself. That's inevitable. And there's also this opportunity to rise above that pointless dynamic when we start to realize that the struggle is futile, that the struggle to remain separate is futile, that we something happens that opens us up, that opens up that rigidity and allows the heart to be touched by the other, and then to devote that energy that was stuck in the struggle for self, to devote that for something that is higher than self, right? And that greater than self, not in a hierarchical sense, it's not about one ego giving itself up to another, but truly of surrendering to a higher principle, which is inside of us, and outside of us as well, because everything that is outside of us is an expression of what is inside of us. So surrendering the struggle allows the energy and the power that's within us to keep going, to really commit and to persevere. And this perseverance, like a great river, it's like a great river, and the bed of the river gets deeper, and it's flowing, and it's continually devoted to this movement, which is going to do what? It's going to flow into the great ocean of honor. Honor is like the field, it's the realm, it's the space itself that holds everything, in the embrace of creation. It shows the same light shining at whatever level one might appear to be, from the very highest to the very lowest. All are imbued with the same sacredness. And the highest apparently will surrender and sacrifice itself to the lowest, because it lives in that field of honor, and this is what we are. So this key reminds us of this power that we have, and to see in struggle and in conflict the opportunity and the true essence of an energy and a force that is seeking devotion, that is seeking service, that is seeking to give itself to the whole, And as we do this internally, our external world is going to mirror this, truly. And so in this way, the most powerful political action starts inside. Like Martin Luther King said, I have a dream, That's it. That's the honor of having a dream and then gifting it to the whole. And this is what we are each and all capable of doing. It's really In fact, what we do as we awaken to our true natures, and in the diversity and variety of ways that happens, it doesn't have to be through overt political action. It can be through art. It can be through innovation. It can be through all sorts of different kinds of creations and communications that we make as human beings, as spiritual beings having a human experience, and incarnating that to the very depths where our guts, are going to give us the courage to pursue our ideals, to persevere, and to put the struggle to, in service to them. So it's a really, really beautiful key, and it teaches us, as they all do, that we are creators. So it's not just about remembering, in a kind of a mental and disassociated, lofty vision of, what we wish is true, but about actually living it in the present moment. Having the, where the rubber hits the road, as they say. So that's really encouraging. Persevere, persevere in your realization of your freedom, of your peace, of your totality, of your honor. Because as you do this, you basically annihilate the divisive forces of this world that we see, and that hold, the reins of temporal power and mainstream media and all that other stuff, all the propaganda that we get, So to really be an activist is to do this good work, knowing that the good work that you're doing within yourself is bound to show up in what we call the outside world, What a gift. What a gift. Thank you so much for being here today, and I wish you the very best.